Hi, this is Frank Warren and you're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law. We're here at the Wembley Box Park Arena ahead of Saturday night's show at the OVO Arena, and I'm delighted to be joined by Spencer Oliver. Spencer, good afternoon, mate. How you doing?
How are we doing, mate? Yeah, really good, man. Really good. Looking forward to this show on Saturday night.
Yes, promises to be an exciting show. Yeah. I've got to ask you, Spencer, you were around when the likes of Azim were coming up and Smith-Eubank Senior were coming up, but how excited are you by this kid, Azim?
Look, over the years, obviously I've been doing this a long time now, and over the years I've seen a lot of talent come through. Naz was boxing when I was boxing. I used to spar with Naz, actually. And yeah, you see special talents come along once in a while, and you look at Azim, and he reminds me of like a young Azim Hamed or a young Amir Khan, where he's got that sort of that X factor, that something about him, that aura about him that you don't, you know what I mean? You can't put your finger on what it is, but he's got something about him that's that's special. He's a special talent. I think we're going to see that on Saturday night. You know, it's going into his 7th fight. The last fight he had against Ryland Charlton was an impressive victory. I think that was the yardstick to tell me where exactly he was at, how good exactly he is. Because Ryland Charlton is proven, he's tough, and the way that Azim dealt with him was incredible. So you just go, yeah, he's the real deal. Santos Riaz, who he's fighting on Saturday night, is a tough kid. 12-0, three of those by the way of KO, 1 no contest. But he's tough, South American tough kid, and he'll bring it to Azim. But I fancy Azim to get the job done inside the distance again.
It makes for a promising main event. Obviously, you've got Azim, who guys are really excited about, and then this kid Santos Reyes, who I was looking at yesterday, undefeated, 12-0. So it's another strong test. But given by what you've seen with Azim right now, what separates him from the rest of the sort of next up-and-coming generation right now in boxing?
Right, so he's got an accumulation of it all. He's got speed, he's got a great boxing IQ, throws shots from unusual angles, he's heavy-handed. You know, if you put all those together, he's got good footwork. You know, he's got everything. The only thing that we haven't seen him do at the moment is get into a fight. We haven't seen him where he's been put under pressure. We don't know what he's like there, but that's because he's too good at this level. You know, it's one of those situations when you get a kid that's special, like Azim was back in the day. He was just blowing people away. You know, and it's I think it's going to be a while before Azim's tested, because it's about going through the levels. You know, it's all about that development stage, and you've got to allow him that. And this is the journey that he's on right now. And Reyes is a good opponent for that, because, like I say, South American kid comes over, he's tough, unbeaten, and he's going to see it as a massive opportunity for him. But Azim, as I say, on Saturday night you'll see he's got all the star qualities that are needed to become a world champion. Not just a world champion, by the way. I think this kid could be the next superstar of British boxing.
A lot of people have dubbed him as the next Amir Khan. A lot of people are saying that he's going to be a world champion in the next 18 months, 2 years. But how fast do you want to see that world title push for Adam?
Do you know what? I think it's one of those ones. He's talking about wanting to do it. He's 20 now. He's talking about wanting to do it before he's 22. He wants a European title this year. Let's see how it goes, man. Let's just see how the next couple of fights goes. But it's going to be hard to hold him back. You know, you mentioned a couple of fighters there, like Azim and Amir Khan. He's got the speed of Amir Khan. He's got the power of Azim. You know, this kid's he's a special talent, and that is hard to hold back. I think Azim won the European title in his 12th fight, I believe. You know, so that gives you sort of indication of where Azim is talking about going. Like, if he's talking about winning the European title this year, he's talking about doing that in sort of like 10 fights or so, maybe before that. So we'll have to see. But it's going to be hard to hold him back, that's for sure. You know, you can't rush this kid too much, because he's an exceptional talent. But at the same time, how do you hold him back?
And the rest of the card, just a quick mention on that, we've got a very exciting fight between Zach Shelley and Anthony Sims Jr. You've also got Hassan Azim as well, Adam's brother as well, fighting on the card. Caroline Dubois, good English title fight between Tyler Denny and Brad Pauls. Really exciting times for Sky Sports and Box. So how happy are you with the progress that you're making and the quality of these cards that you're putting on?
Listen, I think that you've got to look at the quality of the card. Yeah, this is like a next gen show really, where you've got the young kids. Azim is like, you know, he's the future of British boxing, and then you look down the card. You know, you got your Caroline Dubois and your Zach Chellis and, you know, Sims Jr. on there as well, and just look at it and just go, that's a quality card, strong card. You know, Tyler Denny as well. That's another great one against Pauls. Yeah, it's a really good card, man, and I think that's important, you know, for the paying public, but also for the viewers on Sky, you know, because they want to watch a solid card. They want to look at, you know, so they're getting quality all through the card, and I think that's very important. And I think that's what boxers trying to achieve now. Not that you've just got a good main event and a strong chief support. I think they're looking at putting quality fights on the undercard as well. So yeah, it's a very good card. I'm looking forward to the year actually. You know, boxers got some big plans this year. And yeah, it's interesting times. I think that they've sort of Ben Shalom's burst onto the scene. He got the opportunity and he's took it with both hands, and he's delivering the shows that we want, you know, like you say, like, you know, you looked at the card and you said to me, look, Spence, that's a good card, that's a solid card, you can't deny that is a good card. So yeah, it's good, man, it's good, it's exciting times. Boxer is definitely delivering at the moment.
Well, it delivered with a very good show over in Manchester a few weeks ago, and it was an ending that a lot of people, including myself, never expected to happen. I never expected Smith-Eubank Jr. to get knocked out, but he did. And obviously there's now talks of a rematch, but there's also a lot of talks about an elbow leading up to that knockdown. Your thoughts on the whole situation right now, Spencer?
Yeah, I'm not reading into the elbow at all, you know, it's just one of those things. I mean, have a look at Mike Tyson's highlight reel. You know, when he throws a left hook, he follows through the elbow. It's an unintentional shot, and you know, I saw it. It wasn't intentional, so you can't read anything into it. You know, it's just one of those ones that Liam Smith was just too good on the night. The punch resistance of Eubank Jr. had gone. You know, I don't know what it was. I don't know if he was struggling even at 160, because, you know, he got hit with a shot early. And what Smith does is he's very good. He's got a lot of experience, you know. He's former world champion. He hit Eubank with a good, a good right uppercut, I think it was. And then he just followed through with a short left hook right hand. That's what he does. He's good at the follow-up attack, like phase 2. And he never allowed Eubank to recover. Eubank got up too quick. Maybe ego got in the way a little bit. He jumped up too quick. He was still gone. Referee gave him the benefit of the doubt, and Smith done what he does best, and that's finished the fight there and then. Like, it was a conclusive victory. I know that Eubank Jr. is talking about, or has activated the rematch clause, so be interesting to see where that goes. But on that evidence, you know, it's going to be hard for Eubank to turn that around, really, because no one expected that. I thought Smith might have had enough. I called it all week actually, said that Smith might win a razor-tight victory. I thought he might have nicked it down the back stretch maybe, but no one expected it to go like that. I think Eubank had a good start to the fight. You know, he started well for the first couple of rounds. Smith started the fight well. Eubank had a really good third round. He was landing those uppercuts, and it looked like he was going to turn the fight around, and then Smith done what he done, you know, so... Yes, it's going to be a tough call for Eubank to turn that around if he activates that rematch clause. But where else does he go, really? So I think that from Eubank's point of view, at this stage of his career, he probably has to activate that, you know, if he wants to continue boxing. So I understand it, and yeah, let's see how it goes.
Well, that sort of does lead to my next question. He's 33 years old. The 3 fights he's lost is are domestic fights, yeah. Saunders, Groves, and now Liam Smith. He's worked for a few years now with Roy Jones Jr. With the fights under Roy Jones Jr., have you seen any improvement with Smith-Eubank Jr. so far? No,
but I've seen, what's the word that I'm looking for? I've seen glimpses of Roy Jones Jr. in the style of Smith-Eubank Jr., and I don't think that worked in his favour. I think that's where he got caught. He was trying to replicate Roy Jones' style a little bit too much, a little bit lazy after throwing the shots. He was switching off, and like I say, Smith's good at coming back after the attack. You know, like Smith's good at like sort of defense and then offense. That's what he does well, and that obviously works on Eubank's weaknesses. So yeah, I'm not sure that style really works for Smith-Eubank in that fight. Maybe he needs to go back to the drawing board and try and do something a little different. I'm not saying get rid of Roy Jones, but I'm just saying maybe he needs to try and find himself a little bit more and not focus so much on on replicating what Roy Jones does in the ring, because that works for Roy Jones. Doesn't mean it's going to work for anyone else, you know. So, but listen, let's if we get the rematch, let's see how it goes. But it was a conclusive victory, and you got to take nothing away from Liam Smith and that performance. You know, like a lot of people have been talking about. Oh, was Eubank dehydrated? The punch resistance wasn't there. Let's talk about how good Liam Smith was, because that was a dominant performance, man. That was brilliant.
Well, hopefully we get to see the rematch at some point this year. One topic in boxing that you've been very vocal about is obviously the Conor Benn situation. Now, I know it's obviously getting to a point now where we're constantly talking about it, but
yeah.
Eddie Hearn has said in previous interviews he expects Conor Benn to make a return to the ring some point soon. And obviously this talks about Manny Pacquiao, but given the fact that we've not seen any sort of solid evidence of Conor's innocence, how does that make you feel right now, Spencer? What's got to happen for all of us to sort of move away from this whole incident right now?
Listen, it don't make me feel anyway. Like, I've been vocal about my situation, my feelings on this situation, and let's hope it can. He's failed 2 tests. He said that he's going to prove his innocence, and that proof is coming very soon. We're still waiting until we hear from Conor. We can't really comment on it no more, because the facts are the facts, and as it stands, it stands. Like, I know there's talk of him fighting Manny Pacquiao, etc., etc. But you can't fight until this mess is cleared up. So let's see what comes in the next week or so. Because I thought we was going to get that last week. Maybe we'll hear something this week. Let's see how it goes.
But isn't it disappointing, because as boxing fans like myself and yourself, shouldn't we be celebrating the fact that there is a potential fight with Manny Pacquiao to look forward to?
Well, we can't celebrate it until the mess is cleaned up, and that's of course we'd love to see Manny Pacquiao over here on these shores, and Conor Benn was doing great stuff, before this black cloud has come over him. Really, like he was the future of British boxing, and now this mess has happened. It's down to him to clear that up, and I know they're trying to do that, and he's got lawyers involved, etc., etc. But as we speak and as we stand, and I spoke to Robert Smith from the boxing board about this, he relinquished his own license. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment. He's got to prove his innocence, and that's all I can say on the situation, really, because until then, he's failed 2 tests.
Anthony Joshua's next fight was announced at the start of this week against Joshua Franklin. Jermaine Franklin. My bad. Jermaine Franklin at the O2 Arena in April. Thoughts on the fight, Spencer?
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I think it's a good move. I think Jermaine Franklin proved that he was an unknown quantity before he came over and boxed Dillian Whyte. Then I thought he was very unfortunate not to get that victory against Dillian Whyte. That was a razor-tight decision. Dillian come back well, but Jermaine Franklin had his moments in that fight, and he showed his toughness. He showed that his durability, and he showed that he can come back and give some shots as well. So I think he's coming now with credibility off the back of that performance. So yeah, I think it's a good fight. You've got to allow Anthony Joshua a comeback fight. He's now out there with Derek James training. He's got a new trainer. He's got that psychological damage that he's got to overcome, the demons he's got to overcome. So he's taken this fight. I know there's been a lot of uproar at Dillian Whyte as well, saying, he should have taken me. Why did he take him? I won the fight, etc., etc. So, well, Dillian Whyte will get his shot, I think, in the summer. And I think that, but Jermaine Franklin is a dangerous guy. I think he's shown that he can more than fight. So I think it's a good move, really, from Anthony Joshua's team. I think it's a good move from Anthony Joshua's team, as in with the opponent, but I think it's a credible one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight.
You mentioned the link up with Derek James. It's an interesting one. We know Derek James works with Errol Spence and one of the Charlo brothers. But the question I've got to ask you, and you're a guy that's been around AJ for the majority of his career. Yeah. What is he? Is he a boxer? Is he a puncher? Is he an aggressive fighter? Listen, what Anthony Joshua do we need to see in this next chapter of his career?
That's a great question, see, because Anthony Joshua is obviously, he's a guy he needs to rediscover that rawness that took him to the world heavyweight title. That rawness that got him the victory over Vladimir Klitschko, where he had to pick himself off the floor and he took the fight to him. That's what he needs to rediscover. And sometimes when a fighter's been psychologically damaged, it's hard to overcome that, you know, and you need to do that. And so he needs to reinstall the confidence that was once there. Coming off the back-to-back losses to Alexander Usyk, maybe his confidence is a bit low, and he needs to rediscover that rawness that took him to the world heavyweight title. Like, because what makes Anthony Joshua is that fighting with his heart on his sleeve, that explosiveness, that punch power that he's got, and you know that he can't be too hesitant. He can't be looking to box. That's not his thing. He needs to go out there and he needs to be rough and he needs to be rugged and he needs to take the fight to his opponents. But he's got to be educated in what he does. Can't be reckless, because he'd done that against Andy Ruiz Jr. in the first fight, and look what happened. He went out there and he got reckless and he got caught, and that's where the damage was done. So, look, allow him this fight with Jermaine Franklin. He's got a new trainer. He's got to overcome these demons. So, you know, I think that, yeah, you've got to allow him this fight with Jermaine Franklin, who I think is a credible opponent. Then get him in with Dillian White, and then let's see him back in the mix. People are talking about, is this too soon for Anthony Joshua to be get back to the top? He's a two-time world champion. You don't want to be hanging around, you know, having 4 or 5 fights before he gets back in the mix again. Jermaine Franklin, Dillian White, let's see him in with Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, someone of that sort of calibre. Alexander Usyk again. Joe Joyce is there as well. Great fight. I would like to see that fight as well. So there's loads of options out there. Heavyweight boxing at the moment is really good.
Fingers crossed we get to see those mega fights at heavyweight. Spencer, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nothing at all, my friend. Nothing at all.
Can we expect to see Simon Jordan at the show on Saturday night? He's becoming one of your best mates right now.
Simon's not at the show on Saturday night, no. Yeah, no, he's got other engagements Saturday night, but yeah, you'll see him around, that's for sure.
Fingers crossed. Right, Spencer, pleasure as always. Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers,
we look forward to catching up with you later on.
Cheers, bro.